Right, Tom, do you want to do the intro?
No.
What the fuck was that?
It's the intro song that we've got, I think. I don't know, it's been a while since I've listened to one of these.
I didn't even know we had an intro.
Yeah, that's pretty telling, isn't it?
I've never even listened to, I've listened to 2 of these podcasts ever.
I've never listened to one all the way through, unless I've been editing it. I might now mind, now that we're all in crispy vision.
Yeah, it might be slightly less
crispy
cancerous.
audio version.
We all sound nice now. You can all listen to our voices without sounding like we're all down the well. So.
With the dulcet tones of 3 twats. Well done. Hello, people. Is the most intelligent thing I can think of saying, having worked for 7 hours today. Welcome back to the One Click Podcrap, where today we are discussing what is arguably the most contentious park amongst UK thuzies. That, of course, being Thorpe Park Risotto. A precursor, I suppose, is that Tyler and I quite like Thorpe. It's, for all intents and purposes, our local park.
Yes. Because
choosing to believe Chessington doesn't exist is a much better way to live. For Jay, however, it is not.
I wouldn't say I hate it, but I question its decisions, and am sad because of what it could be.
Oh yeah, same. That's why I think this episode will be quite fun.
There's going to be disagreements in this episode.
Yes. Whilst Tom and I both like the park, we don't like some decisions that they've made. But there's going to be so much that we need to chat shit about that we're going to divide this into 2 episodes, so that we can milk it for a little bit longer.
All of that sweet YouTube cash that we don't get.
Oh hell yeah! So for this one, I think we'll just go with the rides. We'll talk about what we think of each ride, and why Inferno is good.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm glad you said that.
Can we not start with that?
We won't start with that.
Let's start with Flying Fish.
Let's go. Okay, we'll start with Flying Fish, and then work our way around clockwise. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Flying Fish has a lot of clearance fails.
And really good sounding restraints.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. They are very satisfying. There is one thing to note about Flying Fish, and that is that it once operated with over-the-shoulder restraints, which, quite frankly, is a hate crime.
I think we figured out why.
We know why.
Because it used to operate, if you're familiar with Thorpe Park, you'll be aware that there's an arcade in Amity. That, right next to the KFC, that is where Space Station Zero is called, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's where Flying Fish started out its life, as Space Station Zero, with over-the-shoulders, which we believe existed to make sure you couldn't stick your arm out and twat a support, which obviously in the dark you couldn't see, and would probably lead to lawsuits. And then obviously it moved up to where Stealth is now, and then closed in, I'd guess, 2004, and then got shunted down towards the beach, where it exists to this day for the time being, before it destroys itself.
Yeah.
And the restraint, the really cool restraint noises, we think are what's left over from the over-the-shoulder mechanisms.
Yeah, because the restraints are really weird on this compared to the other powered coasters, because they're individual lap bars.
But equally, they're not. They are the exact
ones.
same restraint setup as the newer ones, and specifically, in my experience, the thing at Island of Adventure. What's it called?
Shit.
What was that?
I just dropped a screwdriver.
Stupid. Why are you holding a screwdriver?
He's just plotting our imminent demise. Just
I needed to tighten the mic up.
You're tightening your microphone in the middle of a podcast. This is the high quality professionalism that takes place
an
here.
ode to the preparation we do for this shit.
Taking a screwdriver to his microphone in the middle of an episode.
Oh dear.
Oh my god. Audio quality has improved for this episode, but mental quality has not.
That is still languishing in the depths, isn't it? It is. We are thick.
Yeah.
Both with
Should
a
we
K
take a
and two
jolly
Cs.
jaunt to our next coaster?
I think we should. So clockwise, that would make it Colossus, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Or would it be? Or would it be The
between it, is
Walking
it?
Dead?
Oh, it might be
Oh,
The
it
Walking
would
Dead,
be The Walking
actually.
Dead. Oh no. Oh dear.
Right.
I think we can all agree on this one.
Yes, it's fucking awful.
Yes. It's shit.
To clarify, the ride is quite good when it was themed to X.
The coaster is fine.
Like, we're not mocking the ride here, we're mocking the theme.
Yeah.
We're
X
not mocking the ride, we're mocking literally everything else that goes around it.
Yes.
X was genuinely one of my favourite rides at the park when it was running with the lights and the music and everything like that, because it was just so much fun.
God, that says a lot for the state of the park.
It subscribes to the same philosophy that we'll come onto later with Nemesis Inferno, in that it's not necessarily an amazing ride, but it's really, really good fun.
Yeah.
Is what X was. And what they did with The Walking Dead is rip out everything that was fun with it and effectively replace it with a botched surgery during which you're awake the whole time. It is really quite bad.
And might I add, I know we're going to discuss the park's questionable decisions in the next episode, but particularly with The Walking Dead, the fact that they're trying so hard to shift their target market to families and things like that, that, you know, younger families and stuff, why on earth would you then take out a 1.2? Was it 1.2?
I want to say it was
1.1.
I think it was 1.4 when it was No Way Out. I think
Because then it went down to 1.
But it went down
to
1
1 point
point
small.
something low. Yeah.
1 point small.
And then shot up to a 1.4 because it has horror themes, which, to be fair, if you're a small child, would probably traumatise you.
But then the people that would want to ride a horror-themed attraction wouldn't want to be riding a glorified roller skater.
Want a good ride.
Yeah, they're going to go ride Saw next door.
Not only that, there is a coaster in the park that caters to people who want a horror-themed ride that is thrilling, and that's Saw. They didn't need another one.
Exactly.
I think fundamentally one of my problems with The Walking Dead is, as an IP, it's not a bad choice, which you can see when you look at the scare mazes they put in under the same IP, which did quite well. And
The Walking Dead works
sort of
really well for
fluctuate.
scare mazes, not so well for coasters.
I think the problem with what they did with the coaster is a fundamental of what is ultimately a scare attraction is the idea of building your tension and then releasing it, which is something The Walking Dead never does. It spends the whole ride building up some admittedly not awful tension. It's not horrific, but then it just sort of ends. I mean, it's a relatively easy job to build tension. It doesn't take much of a genius,
it's just
but
quite a deflating experience.
Yeah, it's when you get to the end and realise that tension just evaporates. It doesn't end in sort of a big scare, which I think is what the van at the batching point was trying to achieve, and fails dismally because it's just upsetting.
Yeah, I think my favourite part of the entire ride experience is getting to the load section of the queue line, probably getting stuck there for half an hour because the ops are terrible, and listening to that horn sound effect on repeat.
Just deafening. I would not want to work there under any circumstances.
Imagine operating that ride. That would be awful.
I can only extend my condolences to those who have to spend time on that batch point, because that must be fucking agonising.
It's honestly depressing just chatting about the ride. Can we move on?
Yeah, Colossus. Colossus is quite fun. I enjoy Colossus.
Colossus is good.
I think the thing with Colossus that irks me is people get irritated at it for the wrong reasons. In my eyes, anyway. Obviously, opinions are opinions and so on. But people bash it for being rough, when in reality it's not that
No,
bad.
it's not really
bad.
rough.
It's definitely got a rattle, but it's not rough.
I mean,
think
name an old Intamin that doesn't have a rattle.
Exactly. I mean, one of the big issues with it is the trains. They're too small.
I don't know if I'd necessarily go as far as saying it has a rattle as such. It's only on the wheel seats that it's noticeable.
Yeah.
If you're on the non-wheel seats, it's actually quite a pleasant experience. And
it's just
my gripe with it is the fact that the trains are so bad that I can only comfortably sit in a non-wheel seat. So I
Oh yeah.
I aim for that better experience anyway, because I'm not a contortionist. I don't fit in the wheel
No.
seats.
Those back seats are very tight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly going to win any awards for being the biggest person on the planet, and I fucking struggle with those back
Exactly.
seats.
If Tom struggles to get into a
Like-
seat, it's probably a bad design.
It falls down to an issue with the restraints, I think, above all.
Yeah,
else,
it's more of
because
a restraint than the seat.
something like Goliath at Wallaby Holland has the same chassis.
Yeah,
identical.
Literally the same seats, spacing and everything.
And you do not have a problem on it.
The problem is the over-the-shoulder restraints mean that the back of the seat has to be really thick to hide
Yeah.
all the mechanisms for it, and it
Yeah.
just gets in the way of your legs.
Yeah, and then the restraint themselves have to be massive, because a problem Colossus had when it opened was you could stick your leg out the side and
Yeah.
kick support, which obviously is not ideal.
But, like, I could go into such a rabbit hole. Like, the trains are really funny in the sense that they literally took a Megalite train and tried to botch fit over-the-shoulder restraints onto it.
Yeah, it's a bit...
And it's so
I mean-
obvious that, like, it was never designed for those sort of restraints.
they managed it,
They did
but
manage
they've done
it.
better since.
Yeah.
They have, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't Intamin's finest moment.
At least they're not the Monte Micaiah trains.
Oh, no.
Shoe boxes.
Yeah.
Awful. But I suppose the other issue I could have with Colossus is the layout once you finish that corkscrew. The
Yeah,
second
the layout
cork-
basically ends at the corkscrew.
everything up to the second corkscrew is fantastic. I really
Yeah.
enjoy it. And then you have
Yeah.
4 heartline rolls, which are just dull. A turnaround, which is serviceable. It points you in the right direction. And that last heartline roll, I do really enjoy, because that's got some
Yeah.
poke. That doesn't
I think-
fuck about.
A more modern issue with Colossus is the fact that hopefully at some point, either this year or next year, we'll have a replacement in Flamingo Land that is better in every conceivable way. And it's basically irrelevant at that point.
Better in every way except setting. That is one thing I really
yeah,
like about
okay, fair
Colossus.
enough.
Especially before they concreted over half of it, which makes sense, but...
I really like the shop at the exit that goes, and you get that view of the airtime hill and the train
Yeah.
comes straight at that window. That's really cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the queue's quite nice as well, so long as you're not queuing up in that bit that sort of fucks off towards Saw Alive. The queue sort of around the corkscrews.
Yeah, it's a nice area, isn't it?
It's a really nicely done bit. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. It's a fun ride. It's got a few drawbacks, but nothing deal-breaking by any stretch.
It's also especially fun when you ride it at night in the rain, break it, and make Tom get stuck on their final brake run in the rain for about half an hour. That's...
Yeah, that was fun. I really, really enjoyed that.
That was a good ride, that one, yeah.
Was that one
a
of the
very
ones
good
where it
ride.
just like forgot to engage with the chain and rolled back, or was that a gate jiggle?
It was a gate jiggle, I
Oh
think.
god, we haven't talked about Colossus's party piece. If you keep the gate, the whole ride shuts down.
This, I mean,
How could
it
we forget
makes
that?
perfect sense why it happens. So every single air gate will have a proxy switch on it, and if that proxy switch says the gate is open when the gate is not meant to be open, the whole ride stops immediately, and it's about a 15-minute reset with a couple of test cycles. This happened. It must have been Fright Nights 2019.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we got on the train in front of Tyler and Jay, front row, which is... No, it wasn't front row. It wasn't even fucking front row. I didn't even get that privilege.
Me and Tyler went front row, didn't we?
Yeah,
we
you
got
two
front.
went front row
Yeah.
and then witnessed some wanker jiggle the gate, which stops the thing and sits us on the final brake run for about 10 minutes in the pissing
That's right,
rain.
because Tom went on the train before us,
Yeah.
and then someone wiggled the gate, because me and Tyler got stuck on the train for ages waiting for it to go, and Tom was stuck behind us outside the entire time.
Yeah, that was a pretty poor experience, I must admit.
Yeah, and I was stuck sitting there getting cramp because the trains are
Yes.
not
I was
very
getting
big.
fucking cramp as well. I was getting cramp and damp all at once.
That was good. It's definitely a front row ride though. It's
100%. To be fair though,
well, the back row's
row,
quite good. Yeah.
even dead back is fine if you ignore the whole slammed in a box
Honestly,
type thing.
right, even
Yeah.
in what would be considered the worst seat, like middle of the train, wheel seat, the roughest seat, it's not rough, it's really not that bad at all. Anyone who
fun.
says it's rough is just lying. And it's an overall decent ride. It's not good, it's not terrible, it's just there, and it's fun.
It would be a shame to see it go but
It would.
I would rather.
It's only a matter of time, but yeah.
I'd rather see it, have a bit of love and repainted and just back up to scratch, and maybe reprogram it so the gates don't break it all the time, because Thorpe Park is full of morons that lean on it all the time. I guarantee that's the reason it goes down more than anything else. It's because people are leaning on it.
Oh, it's genuine. I've never seen it go down for any other reason.
Yeah. Stupid gates. Saw?
Not a fan of the gates. Yes, let's get on to the only good coaster in the park.
Saw,
apart from Stealth, maybe. I forgot about Stealth. I forgot Stealth existed.
Not gonna bother. Saw. Saw
good
is
ride.
Fun. I really, really like it.
Yeah.
It's never gonna be world class. I think that kind of goes without saying. But the coaster itself is really, really, really good fun. The sort of theme and the atmosphere that they build up around it is arguably some of the best that Merlin, or back then Two Swords, have ever done and ever will do.
There's a reason it's good, and that's because it was Two Swords and not Merlin.
Yeah, it was designed... I believe Merlin took over midway through Saw.
So all the good stuff was already designed.
All of the good stuff was done under Two Swords.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say no to a little bit more going on in the queue, but it's not awful. I'm not losing any sleep over it.
I will admit that queue is absolutely awful if you're stuck in it for a long period of time.
Yeah, if it's anywhere near that first... It's not really a cattle pen, but if it's anywhere near there, you do not want to wait for that. Fuck me.
It's like the mother of all cattle pens.
Yeah, it's also, if you catch it at the wrong time of day as well, on a summer's day, you are not getting shade.
Oh yeah,
but you're not getting shade, and you're going to be standing still for a while because it's a Gerstlauer. It will break.
Yeah,
it's not the most reliable thing in the world.
As soon as you get inside that building, it's a really neat little experience with the gun air hammer that I find endlessly entertaining.
That is great fun watching people get caught out like that.
It works a charm.
it gets a little bit annoying when you're stuck there for a while, but
it obviously doesn't do anything for me at this point beyond a bit of mild entertainment when someone
It was quite
cacks
funny
their
that
pants.
time when we got stuck pretty much just before the stairs. And there was like a group behind us, and we were there for like half an hour because the ride broke, and they screamed every single time the hammer went. It went off like 30 times, and they got caught out by it every single time.
That was quite good.
You know when it's going to go because you hear the sound of a shotgun cocking. Like, oh, here we go. Bam! It was endlessly amusing. You trundle past that, you go past a few... I think they're genuine movie props, traps.
Yes, quite a
floating
few.
about. I know they've got a few of the Jigsaw puppets from the movie floating about in pretty poor nick at this point, but that's to be expected. Trundle upstairs, yada yada yada, into the station, which has a phenomenal atmosphere.
Yeah, the station is really nice.
It is. It's one of the best stations atmosphere-wise.
Dark,
been in
claustrophobic, moody, lit really nicely. They updated it partway through 2020 with new dispatch
the new audio.
Yes,
the audio is great.
that was fun.
which is a little annoying because it's tied in with the gates as opposed to the dispatch, but I can see why they've done it, and usually they can hit that anyway, so it doesn't matter.
That's a small gripe. It gets irritating when it's not doing it properly.
Yeah, it's not a frequent occurrence because usually Saw is run very, very well.
Yeah.
If you ignore the whole COVID restriction.
Saw Station in general, it really satisfies my inner nerd with the dual loading, dual unload move system. It's really nice to watch.
Yeah.
And the indoor blocking as well is really satisfying, where they obviously dispatch the two, send one, hold one sort of thing. That's great.
It's a really good system.
It is.
And it works really. It's nice to have an indoor-outdoor ride at the park. I kind of sleep on the indoor section of Saw quite a bit. Whenever I think of Saw, I think, right, the ride begins at the lift, but no, it doesn't. There's that whole bit beforehand as well.
The
begins after you get
insane.
ejected indoors.
Yeah,
that is. That's
Like,
really good.
Probably, like, apart from the exit of the mid-course, that's like the strongest airtime on the ride on that indoor drop.
Yeah, it's got some
mental.
proper poke.
And if you have a look at, like, a construction photo or a picture of it with lights on, you realise just how ridiculous that drop. It's nearly vertical, and it drops, like, 15 foot.
Yeah.
It
crazy.
just vanishes. I feel like in general the Eurofighter as a model is one that is slept on purely for the maneuverability of it. Like, that thing can do
It's a shame
anything.
there aren't many Eurofighters that really take advantage of the sort of insane things those trains can do.
Yeah, I mean, the only things really are Saw and Abyss that
Well,
are near enough clone.
Mystery
There
Mine.
was
Mine.
Mystery Mine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then,
and then pay respects to that.
and
Jesus
then they
Christ.
cut Mystery Mine's bollocks off.
I can't believe they cut its bollocks off and trimmed it. That's
That's just insult to
like-
injury, that is.
Oh, it's
Oh
comical.
my god.
That is going up to the enthusiasts that are crying at the foot of that drop, asking them to stand up and then kicking them square in the balls. It's so funny.
Oh dear.
But back to Saw then, real quick. The common complaint most people know about Saw is that it's rough. It's not. It's not that bad. There is one jolt, and it's at the base of the drop. The rest of it,
That's quite bad.
it's not that bad. Otherwise, I'm pretty convinced there's like 2 shit trains out of 8 that they've got.
There's definitely
Yeah,
worse
they've got
trains than
Yeah.
others, because I've had some really smooth rides and some really rough rides.
Yeah.
I wouldn't ever say I've had a
But
rough
the
ride.
roughest ride I've had on Saw really isn't like bad. It's just
Yeah.
like, ooh, that's rough, but it's not nothing horrible.
It's just 1 or 2 trains that track a little bit funnily. I'm
Yeah.
not sure exactly what they do. You know that time Shikra got a phone stuck under its wheel? I wonder if a couple of the trains have that.
What, permanent flat spots?
But
Yeah.
but not a full phone. They just got like a smartwatch or something lodged in the wheel. So you just go around, the whole.
Yeah.
The entry to the final brake run is a little bit headbangy,
Oh, that's fantastic.
but it's headbangy in a funny way.
It's aggressive,
It's-
not rough.
Yes.
It's got a few proper fuck me up Gerstlauer moments.
I really love everything after the mid-course, because like it's so tight and fast, and it really does like beat you up.
Yeah.
But I quite like that about it.
It doesn't fuck about, does it?
It really
right.
doesn't.
I'm here. I need to be over there, and there's a dive loop in the middle. Right. How quickly can I do this?
I think a lot of that is to
Just
do with the fact
fucks
that the
off.
mid-course basically doesn't work anymore, does it? They just don't use it.
Yeah,
Like,
they
it used to trim
they-
the train, and now it doesn't.
They had the mid-course switched on for like a year or 2 when it first opened, and then they got bored of fixing all of the valleying trains, so they just switched it off. And now it books it.
Yeah, and you take that transition off the mid-course way faster than it was supposed to do, so you just get absolutely thrown. It's
You
brilliant.
just drop. It's remarkable. Yeah, no, it's a really, really nice little ride, so I enjoy it a lot. Plenty of airtime, plenty of really strong positives, lats.
It's not my favourite at the park. That goes to Stealth, but I do love it.
It is my favourite,
It is my favourite too.
but Stealth is a close contender.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which we will get onto after Nemesis Inferno, which I
Oh,
believe is
dear
next. Oh, what a
fucking God.
beauty of a segue.
Jay, do you want
What?
to start this so we can shut you down?
I mean, what is there to shut down? It's the worst B&M invert I've ever ridden.
No, it's not. El Batman exists.
I haven't ridden El Batman, to be fair, but in terms of
I-
B&M inverts, I preferred Silver Bullet, which says a lot.
I genuinely prefer Nemesis Inferno as a pure coaster to the Dragon Challenges when I did them.
I
I don't know. I don't know how.
I can't provide.
Yeah, I was
I
hoping
have
that would be a
absolutely
little
no
bit more like,
response to that.
oh my god, what the fuck? No, that was...
I was waiting for you to say Nemesis at Alton Towers, then. I was
No,
So was
right.
I.
Here's the thing with Inferno that I think, Tyler, you'll agree with, is Nemesis is objectively a better coaster. It has a better
Yes.
layout, it has better pacing, better elements, yada 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 yada.
Well, the elements
However,
are the same. They're just in a different order.
Yeah, you know.
It has better
Better
sequencing.
progression.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, I reliably have more fun on Nemesis Inferno.
That's because you've been to Thorpe more.
It's because Nemesis Inferno doesn't give me a splitting headache every
That's because
time.
you're a pussy.
That's basically Tom's a pussy. It's what we've learned.
No, there's
No,
something.
right, but this is the thing, right? The thing everyone always, Tom especially, always comes back to me. Oh, you've ridden it at a bad time. If it's only good on one very specific occasion, which is at night on Fright nights while raining, then it's not a good coaster.
But
I'm
it's
sorry.
but it's not. That's the thing. I think you've managed to.
I've
somehow,
been the most unlucky person
Yeah.
in the history of
You
mankind.
really are.
I think you have been.
Or
because
it's shit.
Every time that you've come down to ride it, it hasn't been running the best. There were
Like I'll say, I have had one ride ever on Nemesis Inferno that I considered good, and it was that night ride we had when it was raining. The
That
one
was a
after we
fucking
ran from
blinder.
Colossus that same day and
That
just
was a-
made it before
Yeah.
queue closed. That was
Proper
one ride
corker
I've
of a
had
ride.
that I thought was very good.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
had a lot of them.
We've had a lot of those. Yeah, we've had some. Do you remember that time we went in 2020? I think that was running like arse. Yeah, that was
not
bad,
running
bad.
well that day.
That's probably the worst it's ever been for me, and I think that's sort of how Jay views the ride
Yes.
overall.
Yeah. Well, the next thing I'm going to mention is going to result in lots of swearing from both of you, but there is another invert I have that I would rank above Inferno. It's in the UK.
Don't
and
say
it's not
infusion.
B&M.
Do not say infusion.
It's not Infusion.
No,
It's
no.
Odyssey.
No! Oh, that's fucking criminal.
I genuinely, undisputably, I'm not saying
Oh.
Odyssey. I am not saying Odyssey is a better coaster. It's a terrible design.
You are.
It's
You're
rough as
saying
fuck.
you.
It's
You
jank. No,
literally just
I
said
am-
it's better.
I am saying that I have had considerably more fun riding Odyssey than I have Inferno.
Oh, you're a retard, aren't you?
You may call me a retard all you like, but it's the truth.
Ah.
Odyssey is more
What, that you're a
fun
retard?
because it's so jank. Fuck off.
Got him.
That is a
Basically,
shocking opinion.
Nemesis Inferno does everything any other B&M invert does, but not as well. Is my problem with it.
This might get me jumped on by Tom. Actually, I
Oh
think
dear.
Inferno is better as a coaster than Black Mamba. However,
That is
Black Mamba is better overall because it has the terrain interaction. But at the end of the day, Black Mamba is just Nemesis Inferno trying to be Nemesis. That's what Black Mamba
That
is.
might be a hotter take than my take on Odyssey.
interesting. I mean, you're not.
I prefer
Hang on,
Black
everyone.
Mamba
Shush, shush, shush.
overall.
Listen to that. That is the sound of the community screaming at you right now, Tyler. What you just said.
Right.
Right.
You're not miles off the mark.
So
It's-
Black Mamba's more
basically what I'm
forceful.
trying to say, they're not though. They're pretty similar.
And it has a better ending.
Black Mamba
It has a better
Black
ending.
Mamba has a worse
do.
0G roll, a worse loop. It just has a slightly
Loop
more
felt
intense ending.
identical to Inferno.
No, it's not.
Like, Black Mamba's loop feels exactly the same.
If you're saying Mamba's loop felt like Inferno and you've only had shit rides on Inferno, you're telling me Mamba's loop is shit. I've had really good rides on Inferno. where the
I
loop has
would
been
say
more
that I would
forceful.
honestly, yes, I agree. I would say that the loop on Black Mamba is probably one of the weaker elements on the ride, but the rest of it makes up for it because I really love the end section. The Junior Immelman's fun. You get those low turns through the tunnels and the caves at the end of the ride, gives you a good sense of speed. The ending is much better than Inferno, and that makes up for the loop, which is kind of the only dead spot.
See, to me, they're just the same ride, but Black Mamba's got terrain around it and Inferno doesn't.
This is interesting because one of the big things I notice when Inferno is running quickly is those last two helices. Like, they're powerful when Inferno's got some poke, which is what interests me when Jay says Black Mamba's ending is so much better, because actually, when you strip back all of the gussying up they've done on Black Mamba, they're not that different. That it is a couple of helices strung together. Admittedly, Black Mamba's has nicer transitions. You know, it's a bit more flowy and up and down.
It's a bit more disorientating.
Fancy technical terms. Yeah. But for all intents and purposes, they are very similar. And Inferno Quick, the biggest difference is on those helices, and that improves the ride massively.
I mean,
So
what year was Black Mamba?
2006.
And Inferno was 2005, was it?
3.
3? Was it 3?
It was the year after Colossus, I believe. I'm Googling it.
Yeah.
I might have fucked all of that
Inferno
up.
was 2003, Mamba was 2006.
They're from the same design.
Yeah, so basically what they
philosophy.
did is when they designed Black Mamba, they took Nemesis Inferno and made it better. And that's what Black Mamba is.
Tried to make it better.
I'd argue layout-wise they're equal.
The layout, they're pretty much identical.
I think I would,
I mean,
on a pure
with the exception of the
layout,
Junior
I would be
Immelman,
the same. Yeah. But then, arguably, Inferno has like a reverse Junior Immelman. That turn
Black
around.
Mamba feels... I don't know how similar they are, but Black Mamba feels like it has more variation.
I don't know.
Nemesis Inferno.
It's
I think it has more stuff.
I will
breaking
agree
it up.
that they're pretty close on a scale.
Black Mamba has more stuff breaking the ride up, whereas Inferno is loop 0G turn, corkscrew turn, turn, break. Whereas Black Mamba is loop 0G, Immelman, corkscrew, turn, corkscrew, turn. Like,
Hang on a
bit
minute,
more.
Tom,
Mm.
did you or did you not rank Black Mamba above Nemesis at Alton Towers?
Yes.
But you're now saying that Black Mamba is basically the same as Inferno, but you rank Inferno below Nemesis.
On a
at Alton
layout
Towers.
basis, they're pretty similar, but the area around Black Mamba is what I enjoy so much. The change in elevation and that sort of interaction is what sticks it up so high for me.
So, from an objective, you took the three layouts, you put them in a grass field, you had Nemesis, Nemesis Inferno, and Black Mamba. Which
Yeah.
one would be better?
wait, all in a completely
Well,
flat
that's-
field.
No theming.
I was going to say that's
anything.
difficult because suddenly Nemesis
Just
is shit.
generic. Okay, fine. Nemesis is on a hill. They're basically no terrain interaction, no integrated theming, nothing like that. Just the layout and ride experience. Imagine you're riding them blindfold.
Nemesis.
They'd all be
Which
the
one
same.
would you prefer?
Because for all intents and purposes, they're the same.
Nemesis would be the most
ride.
forceful.
Yeah, but forcefulness isn't.
I would
everything.
agree that
It's-
Black Mamba and Inferno, ridden with a blindfold, would feel very similar.
They would. Nemesis would. I mean, obviously you'd be able to tell, but ultimately they are all inverts, all designed within effectively a 13-year time span. The design philosophy
Yeah.
doesn't change that
I
much.
mean, you
They're
can argue it's the
effectively
same case you
ride.
can make with the B&M multi-loopers in that when you've ridden
Oh, they're
them, you've
all
basically
fucking
ridden them all.
identical. They
Like,
are
they're the same thing.
literally fucking identical.
I mean, I said it in the Towers one, but with Nemesis's layout, it's just the fact that it shakes it up is the reason I like it. I would take that over these two, in
It
terms
is
of just the
different,
layout.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I've just had an incredibly bad run of luck with Inferno.
You
Because I
have.
don't want to hate it for the sake of hating it. I genuinely like B&M inverts. It's just I've never had
it's-
much fun
yeah.
with
And
that
it is perfectly fair for you to say it's your worst B&M invert when you've done things like Raptor, you know.
one.
Yes.
True.
And knowing that I've been there for, I think, every single one of the rides you've had on Inferno, and they've all been a bit
But
crap.
the thing is, I've
it
been to
makes
Thorpe Park.
sense.
Like I haven't been as much as you, but I've been quite a lot more than the average Joe probably has been, especially in Wales. And
Yeah.
I haven't had many good rides. It's quite inconsistent.
It
with
is
its good
pretty
rides.
inconsistent, which is shocking for a B&M.
It's
Like,
quite
they-
weird how it's
Yeah.
inconsistent.
They usually run remarkably consistently. Like something like the Swarm, all it does is it just gently increases throughout the season.
Oh, one thing I will say that I will give credit to Inferno for this one, and that is the pre-lift section at night through the
brilliant.
volcano is great fun.
If you dispatch with the base cannons,
The wave
rumbling
cannons,
everything,
yes.
they're brilliant. And then down into the fog and the orange light is great.
Oh, and I do like the transfer track when it slides towards the station when the train stops
yes,
on
the
it.
transfer slam, that's a good one. For those uninitiated, the second train will roll into the transfer having completed the course. The brakes will clamp, and there's a little bit of play in the transfer track. So what that does is
little?
the brakes clamp, and all of the momentum from that train gets transferred directly into the track above, and it just hits the track in front.
You end up with a massive Newton's cradle.
Yeah, pretty
Yes.
much. You go thunk. It's great. I love it.
I think the only thing I dislike about Inferno is it's a bit of pot luck as to whether you'll get a skittery wheel on row 6, but that's it.
Oh, that's a fun one, yeah.
I feel like we haven't fought enough over this ride.
I don't know. We've had
I-
quite a lengthy debate about
I
it.
will stand by the fact that I've had more fun at this current time on Odyssey than Inferno. I will stand by that.
That is just wrong,
not-
but we'll allow you
I'm
to
not.
be
Yep,
wrong.
I'm not saying the
Yeah,
ride
we're
is
used
better.
to it,
I
though.
will agree that Nemesis Inferno is a better ride than Odyssey, but Nemesis Inferno is not a 175 foot tall SLC.
That is fucking terrifying.
That is quite spooky. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one thing we've glossed over a little bit about Inferno that I know I really like is, again, the atmosphere it creates. I really, really, really like the soundtrack, especially when you're up in the station.
The new soundtrack is really good.
Yeah.
My problem with
the
that is that
dispatch.
all of the atmosphere is the station, and that's it. The queue is crap.
Depends when you go. A
And how
COVID
long you have to queue
Inferno.
for.
Yeah, a 2-hour COVID Inferno is a fucking bad time. That was awful. I would never do that again. But one of the little queues just in that last cattle pen, because that's quite well
if you
grown
can get
up.
to the last cattle pen on the volcano and wait from there onwards, it's fine.
Yeah,
but if
'cause
you're
that's-
stuck down in the switchbacks, then
Yeah, you're fucked.
no.
Bad time.
I mean, you get a good bit of a good view of the lift motor, but
You do.
know,
True.
You win some, you
true.
lose
And you
some.
get
Some nerd
nice,
angles.
nice views of the corkscrews and the 0G and everything as well, because there's a distinct lack of nets around this ride.
yes, it's
There
very
is.
it's very nice to look at this ride.
Yeah,
It's-
it's...
It could do
Very
some
very
paint.
nice. I don't think it could. Honestly,
I'm okay with it looking like it is. It
Yeah.
fits in.
I'd rather it was
guess.
the color it is than bright red.
Yeah, it didn't look great when it opened. I
It
won't
would
lie.
look pretty stupid if it were bright
It
red.
is, I
nowadays.
think-
I think if they did repaint it, they need to do it in a deeper red that closely matches the worn red it is now, but
Yeah.
fresher.
Yeah, I think this is the key thing about Inferno with both how it rides, at least in our experience, not Jay's, and how it looks, is it's aging like wine.
Yeah.
It's the longer it hangs about, the more grown up everything gets, the quicker it seems to be running, the better it seems to look. It's just improving with age, which is nice.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's Inferno
Yeah, that is.
done and dusted. That was we were chatting about that for a lot longer than I thought we would. I thought it would just
We
be
were,
yeah.
that was like 15 minutes on just Inferno.
yeah.
Bloody
That's
hell.
like our main sticking point, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
The final... No, there's another one I've forgotten, but...
Oh
Nah,
god, there
this-
is.
This is the
Forgotten.
final one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Stealth.
this is
Yeah.
this is the only one that matters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is Stealth, the Chertsey dildo. It's great.
Yes.
That's about it, really. isn't it?
Ride it in the front. It's fun.
Yeah, ride it in the front or dead back. But
Honestly,
if you're in the dead
anywhere.
back, you're gonna get
I
rattled
think
around.
I prefer front to
Yeah,
head back
front
and
is
stuff.
definitely better, but if you can't get front, you get the back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Still some good
honestly,
airtime.
anywhere is good because the main reason I would ride Stealth is because of the power of the launch.
Do you know what?
That's it.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever ridden stealth in a row that isn't the front or back car. I always go
mean,
front or back. I've never been in the middle of stealth. I can guarantee that.
truthfully, it doesn't make a difference. You go in the front for the view, and you go in the back because it's the back row. Of course, you go in the back, but everywhere else, it's basically just a game.
I mean, you
of
must
how
get less
rough is it
airtime
gonna
in the
be.
middle on the top hat.
Yeah,
Like,
but
that's
not by
the
much.
worst seat for the top hat.
Yeah, it's the main problem is the rattle.
Yeah, the rattle gets worse the further back you go, but you can
It's-
forgive it in the very back because it's the back and you get more
Yeah.
airtime.
But it has, that is my one gripe with Stealth in the last few years, is it has gained quite a notable rattle, which it's not the end of the world because the
It's
ride's
gained
so fucking
such a
short.
notable rattle that, scarily enough, my smooth-ish front row ride on Rita made me appreciate it just as much as Stealth.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if I'd
fucking
quite go
hard.
that far, but given how nicely Rita's been running recently, it has been smoother than Stealth.
Yeah.
It has, yeah.
I'm going to throw in the mandatory, these rides need T-bars sentence.
Yes,
That
because
would be good.
Captain Obvious strikes again.
having ridden Accelerator, my love for Stealth did diminish slightly
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
because it kind of does everything Stealth does, but you have a lap bar. So,
But
yeah, it's not
regardless,
bad. I can't call Stealth bad.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I don't hate those over the shoulders at all. I think
No,
they're
as
fine.
over the shoulders go, they're probably one of the least offensive ones.
Yeah, and obviously the launch is still like getting hit by a truck, which
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Yes,
and then
it
you get
is.
crushed by 5Gs, and then you get ejected, and then you get crushed
Yeah,
again.
it's very much
And then ejected
holy
once
fuck,
more.
what just happened to me, and then you're on the brake run. It's
Yeah, exactly. It's a
a
remarkably
short
quick
but
ride.
efficient assault on the senses.
It is, yeah, it is probably one of the more intense coasters out there, just for the sheer speed it blitzes through everything at.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not love a hydraulic intermin launch.
They do not fuck about. They don't do what them LSMs do. Back in my day.
I'd take stealth launch and any other hydraulic launch for that matter over any LSM launch I've done so far.
Yeah.
Not in terms
absolutely.
of like the overall ride, because obviously I prefer Tarot
No,
to stealth.
but just the launch.
Just the launch.
Yeah.
Stealth is my favourite launch that I've done.
Oh, I don't know though. Those Mac launches, man, they really kick you. You know.
Really stuck to my seat on those ones.
Yeah, stuck fucking to the bottom of the seat, not the back of it.
No, I think the only hydraulic launch I've done that I prefer to stealth is Bakko's.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
Bakko is.
I really, really enjoy Bakko. It's not as powerful.
That launch straight into the airtime.
Yeah.
I think it's more. I don't know if Bakko is any stronger than stealth. It feels the same.
It's significantly
But
weaker.
I think the fact that you're exposed on a wing makes it feel a lot more intense than stealth, even though it's not technically as strong force-wise.
Isn't the angle of the launch a lot higher as well?
It is.
Yeah, that also helps, I think. And you launch basically straight into an airtime hill.
Yeah, Bakko's launch is about half as powerful.
Really? Is it
as
that
stealth.
It can't be half.
Stealth is 0 to 80 in 1.8, isn't it? Ish. Where
yes.
Bakko is 0 to 84 in 3.5 seconds.
Really?
Which is,
See,
I mean, it's
there's
still
this
fucking
thing.
silly quick, but...
I have a theory about launches and launch forces. There's a point where more intense launch acceleration makes it actually worse than a less intense but longer duration of acceleration.
It just becomes an endurance event, doesn't it? Can you survive being creamed against the back of the seat?
The thing about something like the Domper and the really extreme air launches is you're going to get a really intense launch for like a split second and then it's over, whereas something like Bakko, it's weaker, but you've got that feeling of acceleration for a lot longer, and you've got more time to take it in.
It's still an absolutely mental acceleration, something like Bakko. And I think you're bang on. I think stealth is at that cusp.
Yeah, like any stronger than stealth, and I don't think it would necessarily be better.
Unless it's that strength but longer, which I suspect is what something like Top Thrill or King of Cars is like.
Top Thrill Dragster is stupid. Just go to Cedar Point whenever you can. Just go, please.
Well, I'd love to, but
take me
everything's
with
on
you.
fire at the moment. So I can't.
Yes, I will. I have every intention to go there one day, but who knows when that'll be now. I need big stealth.
Big stealth, yeah.
Because regular stealth is good, and I want more.
Yeah, it's basically regular stealth, but big, so therefore better.
Yes.
In conclusion, stealth good. Yes.
Yes.
Lovely. Right, that's it. Episode over. Goodbye.
Oh dear, the last ride.
Wait, isn't there that bit of scenery in the back of the park as well?
There is. It acts better as scenery than it does.
Yeah,
anything
sometimes
else.
it shoots some fire out of that thing.
Yeah, not very
it's
often.
It's a good little
That's
theming element
broken
of the
most
park.
of the
It
time.
sort of sets the theme. But
The Swarm is the UK's first and probably last winged roller coaster. It is. I bash it a lot. It's definitely.
It, yet I believe that you have blacked out on this ride.
I've never blacked out. I have not got that far.
You said you came close, which is quite frankly alarming, and you should probably see a doctor.
You're probably right, to be fair.
No, I think as much as it's shit, that helix, that flat turn, does pull some decent force.
Yeah, it is an unwarranted level of bashing that I give it. I do it, I think, because it's one of the single most overhyped roller coasters on the planet.
Yes.
And apparently
Yes.
I take it upon myself to deal with that, which is ineffective at best,
But like, even as a wing coaster, it's still bad. Like,
it's not great.
It has its moments.
I mean, the layout is short. There's an inherent issue I have with wings where the pacing is all over the shop.
Yeah.
And that is really evident, especially at the beginning. That drop is dull into quite a high G, really quite fast valley, and then you're suddenly...
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, the valleys are okay, but it takes the tops of the big inversions so slowly that like you have time to have a fucking casual conversation up there while you're rolling. It's
I have had conversations.
We
on
have
the Swarm.
Yes.
definitely had long, deep conversations about completely irrelevant things. while
not
riding
normally
the
about
Swarm.
how shit the Swarm is.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we've designed attractions on top of the Swarm.
We definitely
You know,
have.
the sort of thought process.
Yeah.
It's an issue inherent with wings in that they can't really go any faster unless
No.
you do what Intamin did, which is keep the roll rate low still, which is what
But
B&M
just
have
go
done.
really fast.
Go really fucking quickly.
You say that, but there are still exceptions to that. And off the top of my head, I can think of Thunderbird, because that looks incredible.
Yeah.
Thunderbird,
does.
yeah.
That looks like it has a bit, but I think that subscribes to the same theory that Baco does, in that it just goes really fucking fast. The roll rate's still quite
Thunderbird
low,
as well.
but
I think that's quite a big factor. Thunderbird has a short train.
it does.
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, it's
This is it.
5
The
cars,
wing-
Swarm 7.
Yeah,
Yeah, wing trains are just huge. Like
they are chunky boys.
they are fucking massive, and there's not loads you can do with it when it's that long and that wide. You're well, not even artificially, but
Like,
you're limiting yourself.
I will give Swarm something, and as much as the ride experience isn't very good, the actual layout design is quite clever with the Heartline roll going over the station.
Visually, that looks great.
Visually, it's quite cool, but
the elements
to actually
bother,
ride it,
but
eh.
It's a B&M. There aren't any ugly B&Ms.
no,
no.
there are.
But if you make a B&M ugly, you have failed so miserably.
Really fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to properly fuck up to make a B&M look bad.
Like, I will happily sit and just watch the Swarm, because it's
It's-
really, really nice to watch.
It is, and I think this is the one thing I like. Well, one of the big things I like about the Swarm is just how nice it looks, especially on the skyline.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
fits. I mean, everything that Thorpe does. Thorpe's skylines is just straight up one of my favourites. But the Swarm
Except Storm
fits
Surge.
in. It looks nice. Except,
Storms.
yeah, the scaffolding water slide's not a great looker.
But in terms of the actual layout itself, in my opinion, I think I don't really like the drop. I like the roll. I don't like the incline loop. I like the corkscrew, and I like the last roll. So it's sort of, so overall, the bits that I like are outweighed by the bits I dislike. But at the same time, I don't care enough to actively hate on it. But I won't
Yeah.
sing its praises. It's just so average.
This
It
isn't
is
really a fault of
very
the Swarm
average.
itself, but I hate those restraints.
They're
Oh,
shite.
yeah. they
I
are
understand that a wing coaster probably needs vests like that because of the lateral forces, but God, they're bad.
Yeah, they're not accommodating of anyone.
It's the
all,
locking
yeah.
ones. Like, the non-locking ones
Yeah.
are fine, because you've got, I mean, based on Valkyria, you've got the wing, effectively wing seats on the dive coaster. You get ridiculous lats on them, but the vests are really comfy. The fact that the Swarm decides, you know what, fuck you, and staples you in place, it just takes away from, well, it takes away
Yeah.
from the experience, really.
Yeah, I will come off that most of the time with my shoulder blades and my shoulder blade just screaming like they're in agony.
Yeah.
That is by far and away my biggest problem with it.
Yeah, I reckon if they had the non-locking vests, you wouldn't complain about Swarm
So
as much.
I would not know, because the layout is, as you said, it's fine. It's well designed given the space constraints they had.
It's safe.
But-
It's a B&M, so it's safe.
Right, here's a question. Here's a good one. Take away all the theming, everything about all the coasters except the layout and the ride experience. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Discount Flying Fish, obviously. What is the worst coaster in the park?
Swarm.
The Walking Dead.
If we're talking the big five,
But like,
as it were,
honest to God,
Swarm.
like from just a layout and riding them, the Swarm and the Walking Dead are quite close.
They are, aren't they? You just sit
Yeah.
there like, right, cool. next element.
Like, Walking Dead arguably has parts where it feels slightly more, especially backwards, like X No Way Out. There are parts of that felt genuinely more intense than Swarm.
They had a bit
Just
of poke,
because of the
didn't
fact
they?
that you didn't have as secure a restraint and you were going backwards over these hills. And
Yeah, so it was a 1990s Vekoma,
Yeah.
so it was probably designed with a fucking wire coat hanger.
yeah, like, I think the only thing that B&M does really well are, like, the hypers and the floaty, the zero-G hills and stuff. They're too refined for my liking.
Yeah, they need a little bit more.
Apart from, like, the old gen
Yeah,
gen stuff.
nowadays
That's great
they're too safe.
Modern B&M is too boring for me.
They crank out very safe, very reliable, very predictable rides.
But that's why parks love them, though.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I can see why people, and they're enjoyable.
Yeah, I get why
rides.
parks like them, but
Don't get what we're saying wrong. They're fun. They're very fun rides.
yeah,
but
but
give me a fucking Intamin.
I think it's just my personal preference. I like a ride that sort of makes you question
Bit rough around
what
the
you're
edges.
doing when you're riding. Yeah, like
Yeah.
B&Ms aren't that. There are exceptions, like Fury.
I mean,
Yeah, Fury
even
was
where you were saying, strip all the theming out and of all the big five, my rankings wouldn't change at all.
No, neither were mine.
It would always be Stealth, Saw, Inferno, Colossus, Swarm.
Yeah, that could just be because Thorpe's theming isn't exactly spectacular.
I think the quality of theming largely is.
Would you argue
pretty
that
steady.
Swarm on opening was better themed than Saw?
No.
Really?
Because it was too sparse.
One thing I do miss, though, is Brave It
guess, but-
Backwards. Brave It Backwards was good fun.
I never got to do that.
I'm indifferent.
That might have made Swarm a bit more fun.
It gave you a fantastic view of London.
Oh, I bet it did.
Yeah.
Like, much. I mean, you get a good view as it is, but it was so much better back.
I would have loved to have a go on like Backwards Swarm at night with
Yes.
the fire effect on.
That was quite good.
No, better than that was doing Backwards Swarm at sunset and going up the lift,
That was
and you get
fantastic.
Stealth and the Swarm's layout
yeah.
just with the sun behind it. It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
I would love to
How
see
did
that again.
how did the queue work for that?
Initially, there were separate queues, I believe.
Right.
But after about a year, they gave up with that, and you got to the station, and there was a tiny little extra bit of switchback at the back of the station for the backwards.
So it's like a front row queue sort of thing for a normal
Yeah,
ride.
just for the back too.
Yeah, I missed that. I'd like to see that back again.
Yeah, it's a shame.
But that's
Eh.
that was good fun. I think in that case I would have preferred Swarm over Colossus because it was so unique.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, there's
one other now. Yeah.
Yeah, that weird alien one.
Yeah.
That does look good.
Oh,
fun,
God,
actually.
yeah,
that
that was
layout
bizarre.
looks pretty great. But
I mean, as far as a B&M wing goes,
yeah, I mean, it sort of plays into its strengths. It has a few quicker bits, and still keeps. I think having a few floaty, high up bits is good,
yeah.
but not when you got too many, which I feel like the Swarm does.
I would say that this is the part of the podcast where we now speculate about future ride editions, but with Thorpe Park, that's pretty much out of the
D6.
question.
Oh,
I think they get a D6.
What I was gonna say was
or maybe a Raptor.
we've been talking for nearly an hour about the coasters. Should we rattle off the flat rides real quick?
Oh, if you want.
Detonator, best drop tower in the country.
Fantastic.
Rush,
Yeah.
really, really good.
Especially with a gap. Yeah.
Slammer, really miss it.
Crap.
Yeah.
Shut up. Storm Surge, brilliant if you don't have to queue for
Wank.
it. Shit if
Yeah.
you have to queue.
Yep.
Depth Charge, fantastic fun. Rapids, yeah, they're good fun.
Yeah, they're right.
What else have we
Honestly,
got?
thinking about it, I've never thought about this. Thorpe Park's flat ride game is pretty good.
Samurai on Bavarian Bingo is
Samurai.
one of the best rides in the country.
Yes, that is.
If
that is
Oktoberfest comes back
fantastic.
this year, I need to go and ride that.
Yeah, you do.
It is. It is coming back.
Yeah, but if like the Bavarian bingo cycle is still a thing and the ride hasn't completely snapped.
Truthfully, I suspect Samurai won't be a thing. So.
Wait, who am I kidding? I don't need to go to Thorpe for a good top scan anymore.
Oh, fuck you. You don't get Bavarian chicken song though, so you're missing
True,
out.
true.
Yeah, but he does get Flying Circus.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Is that it?
Right, I think that. Is
Yeah, that sounds.
everything.
I mean, we haven't done Vortex, which is bang average.
Yep.
Quantum,
God,
which
Quantum.
used to be really quite good, but is now not.
Zodiac.
The Flat Ride lineup really isn't so
Shit.
bad. At 4.
Oh,
What?
we haven't talked about the Ghost Train.
Oh shit!
It's not a coaster. We don't need to talk about it.
Oh no! Right, let me say my bit.
This is gonna be so
God.
long to edit.
So, I never did the Ghost Train opening year. By the sounds of it, I'm better off for it. I first did it in 2017. I had a perfect run through. Everything was working, and it was incredible. I fucking adored it. I quite like VR. I'm a bit of a tech
I
nerd,
remember how
so that-
insufferable you were when you went through that.
Yeah,
He
I know.
still is.
Yes, I know.
It's a
I thought you
shit
hate
ride.
it now.
I don't. This
You
is
can't
it.
like it now, surely. It's a travesty at this point.
It's useless.
2017 Ghost Train is in my top 10 rides of all time.
I did Ghost Train in 2017, and it's just as shit as it is now.
2018, 2019, and the corpse that it was in 2020 are nowhere near. They are
One
shit.
thing I liked on Ghost Train, and spoiler alert, but it's that fake shop at the end.
That's
the only thing I
fantastic.
liked.
The thing I liked
Yeah.
is the walking into a room with a suspended Victorian carriage, and that's the only bit that I actually thought was
Oh,
quite
and
cool.
riding it without putting the VR on and watching it.
Oh, that is
It's
quite fun.
funny.
And then the host looks at you really confused, asking, "Are you okay?" It's like, "Yeah, we're fine. We're
yes.
just vibing."
Don't mind me, I've done it enough times.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problems I have with the Ghost Train, as I've shifted a lot more towards enjoying storytelling experiences,
Is that it makes no sense and the story is shit.
is that it makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, what the fuck is the...
And
Is there even
couple-
a story?
Yes. And
'Cause
it's
to
not
me,
a
it just
bad...
seemed like, let's try and scare them.
It's
with no
the
plot
story.
whatsoever.
The story is effectively well done. You're in a dystopian future, and fracking has unleashed a demon on the underground,
Spooky.
which needs a lot more development.
I am terrified.
to
I'm
say the
quaking in my
least.
boots.
Yeah, it's not amazing, and I think the fact that they were leaning into it being psychological with that pre-show more than anything detracts from the experience, because that was an opportunity to actually get people immersed in the story that you're trying to tell.
Yep.
And that is a long period of time to do it in as well, so
Yeah.
it should be quite easy.
So what you're saying is that as you've understood the nuances of attraction design, you've realised that 2017 Tom is a naive little
It's
prick,
shit!
and he was very wrong
Yeah.
because the Ghost Train has always been a shit attraction.
Yes, but also no.
I'm just going to cut out
Can-
the also
can we
no and
just-
just say
Can
yes.
we discuss the elephant in the room? We haven't mentioned the elephant in the room, and that is how much that fucking thing costs.
I think the
You could have
the
built
two
a B&M Giga 2 times over for the price of
Yeah.
that attraction. I'm not saying they could have, but the amount of money they spent on that.
that is the two key things about the Ghost Train is how much money they sunk into it for it to then not work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That thing is fucked. It used to have 3 cars. The
Have
middle
they still
scene
not fixed that?
that's not going to get fixed. To be fair, it runs more efficiently on 2 cars supposedly. But yeah, the middle scene, which is now a really pathetic excuse for a scare maze, used to be excellent, but that's fucked. They've knackered up the finale by breaking all the effects and then breaking the costumes and then breaking them further and putting them into a scare zone, which will be in the next episode. What else is broken? It just dies frequently, and it shouldn't, because the ride system is not complicated.
I can say it's a car that slides, and that's it. It
It
shouldn't be that hard to keep going.
There's a lot that I could complain about to fix it, but I feel like I'm gonna stop us here because I don't want to edit any more for this episode. We can complain about the Ghost Train into the next one. It can be a nice segue into the next episode because there is so
Understood.
much shit that I'm gonna have to sift through right here. So on that note, see you in the next one. We're gonna chat about Thorpe again. Goodbye.
Yep, that's the one. Bye.
See ya!